So guys, today we're going to be finally rebuilding Leicester City, giving them their long-awaited rebuild. I'm going to quickly say thank you guys so much for helping me hit 10k yesterday. If you do enjoy the rebuilds on this channel, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and drop a cheeky comment on what team you want to see next. So then, Leicester City, obviously we are going to be playing in the Championship. Nice and realistic. We're going to get rid of most of their key players as well, just as what will probably happen in real life if they can sort of get rid of them. I imagine a lot of these players are going to want to leave, so we will try and replicate that inside of FM. Now, some players are a nightmare to get rid of on FM, but I am going to do my best to offload at least some of the key players. Now, in terms of predictions, we are actually predicted to finish first, so back right up to the Premier League going into the next season, and I'd say that's more than achievable. And this first season is all going to be about the transfers, realistically, guys. So I will say, don't get too, if you're a Leicester fan and you see a lot of your favourite players leaving, don't be put off by it or anything like that. At the end of the day, that's how football is, unfortunately. When a team like Leicester goes down with so much talent, a lot of these players are going to get poached, and that's just how football works. But overall, I think we're going to try and set a goal for this sort of video of getting Leicester back, not only in the Premier League, but let's try and win a title with them. Whether that be an English trophy, a European trophy, or a Premier League trophy. But we've got to go for 5 years, and hopefully we can make that happen. I'm pretty confident we can. But in terms of the transfers, now there are going to be quite a few players that we did get rid of, so we are going to talk about absolutely all of them right now. So, the first page of transfers then, and I mean there are a lot, so this window is going to be a bit mental, so it does get very interesting later on in the video how we sort of try and recover this team. James Maddison finds himself at Manchester City for £48.5 million. Patson Daka goes to Aston Villa for £26 million. We've got Amati goes to West Ham for £1.2 million. Sayuncu to Crystal Palace for £850,000. Castagna to Everton for £16.2 million. Yuri Tielemans, on the biggest bargain of the century, goes to Manchester United for £1.4 million. Vestergaard for West Ham for £5.2 million. Obviously, a couple of players here going out on loan as well. Now, the likes of Tielemans, obviously you can get more for him, but we simply weren't getting the offers. And I know that Tielemans is a player that is going to leave. So I definitely wanted to get rid of him to make it realistic. So that is why he was sold for such short or such small amount of money. So don't think I'm absolutely mental by doing that. Going over to the next page, there are going to be more players going out. But let's focus quickly on some of the players coming in. That is going to be Ilan Moulier, obviously from Leeds, for £25.5 million. A very solid goalkeeping option in goal. And a great replacement, obviously, for a Danny Ward, who does go to Real Sociedad for £2.9 million. Also, another key player going out there is going to be Ndidi to Monaco for 2.5. Perez to Brentford on the free, and Johnny Evans to Real Sociedad on the free. Real Sociedad are going to have a very shaky time at the back with those two signings. We also bring in Julio Enciso from Brighton for £32 million. A little indicator for you guys that might not have known this guy or sort of seen this guy. He's an absolute real hot talent in real life, and I really think he's going to do well in this Leicester team. He should absolutely smash the Championship and hopefully develop enough to be a very good Premier League player. We then bring in someone who I've never signed before on any FM. That is going to be Chiquinho, 23 years of age, and again, absolutely going to batter the Championship, no doubt in my mind here, and I'm hoping he can also develop to be a very good winger inside of the Premier League. Great dribbling, quite nippy as well, and a really good option to have on that wing. And the last player is going to be Pascal Struijk. I always butcher that name, but for £25 million from Leeds. So we sort of did raid we did raid them quite a bit, to be honest. But this guy is just really, really solid. Probably going to be one of our best defenders we've possibly got. 23 years of age, sorry. Can also grow a little bit in terms of potential. And like I said, it's all about strengthening that back line. Because obviously we have lost a couple of centre-backs now, so it's very important to bring new options in. And going over to the tactics page, we are going to be using my Pep X Klopp. Now, this is going to be heavily tweaked as we go through the seasons, as you have to do when you download a tactic to sort of match it to your team's needs. But the starting lineup, according to the best 11, is going to be, obviously, no doubt in goal, Pereira, Fayez, Struijk, Justin, Mendy, Dewsbury Hall, Samer, Albrighton, Barnes, and Iheanacho. Now, some of the players that I did try and sell, because I think they might depart in real life, are the likes of Pereira. I did try and get rid of Justin, Dewsbury Hall, Mendy, I tried Barnes, but no offers, funny enough. Iheanacho, I wasn't too sure on, so I did keep him. But there are definitely still some players that I do want to get rid of, purely from a realism perspective. But we'll see. If we get back into the Premier League, we'll just keep him. But I feel like I've done a really good job at getting rid of a lot of the high-profile players and making it as realistic as we physically can. And going over to the finances, now I could have gone even more crazy than what we did in signing players, but I didn't want to spend everything because obviously we easily had a budget over £100 million, and I don't think that's right doing that going into the Championship. So I didn't spend it all. I kept it as realistic as what I can. I simply tried to replace some of the positions that we lost, and to be honest, you could argue downgrade them as well. It is going to be a challenge, this rebuild, but I am really excited and I'm really enjoying doing my rebuilds at the moment. So let's get into this first season, as you can see in the Championship, and see how we done. So the first season has been simulated, and it was an absolute obliteration. We had a 13-point advantage at the top over Leeds in second place. We also got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup against Manchester United, where unfortunately they had a little bit too much firepower for us to conquer. Not the best display in the Carabao Cup, but it was against Aston Villa, which obviously are a bit of a tricky side. In terms of the stats, things are going really well. 121 league goals, only 35 conceded. But again, the real standout thing here is just how dominant we were, obviously, over in this division. And the other first thing I want to see are the goal scorers. So we've got to filter it by it, and it is going to be Iheanacho coming in with 38 league goals, which is absolutely incredible from him. 26 for Harvey Barnes. Jamie Vardy still doing it with 23. Then we've got 8 coming in from Prayer. Chiquinho with 7. 7 also for Samer. Mendy with 6. In terms of the assists, we've got 17 for Chiquinho, having quite a good season, to be fair. Harvey Barnes as well, matching up with 17. We've got 11 for Dewsbury Hall. Jamie Vardy with 9. 9 for Luke Thomas. 7 for Samer. Albrighton with 7. Iheanacho as well. We have got a lot of players getting involved. And you know, if you're a big fan of this channel, that is something which I do love to see. So this Leicester team were really firing on all cylinders, and to be honest, didn't really put a foot wrong. What actually was the end result then? If we go to the league table, so 37 wins, 4 draws, and 5 losses. Not a bad result at all there. Obviously, Leeds having quite a good season as well, but we've really put on a good display, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're going to be quite dominant in the goal scoring side of things. Obviously, the most points, the most goals at 121. You know, 30 more goals than Norwich, which is quite a stat line. Most shots as well. Ipswich having a very good defensive season, which is quite good to see. In terms of the data hub, it is looking very good for us as well. It's over 2.5 goals a game, which is really good with this team. 0.7 conceded, so really good in that aspect as well. And going over to what will be the next season, we are going to have a total of £89 million to spend. Now, it's always a stress going into the Premier League because you have to just simply put out a team which you think can survive. And that is pretty much the main aspect of what you're trying to do. So we're going to spend a lot of time going into this second transfer window. And I'll come back to you once I've put together a team that I think can cope with staying in the Premier League. Well, Season 2 is going to look very, very lively. I'm going to be honest, I had a very tough time because there were certain players that I couldn't get to agree a new contract. Therefore, they went out on the free, which is very, very annoying. And you can probably tell by the players that we've signed, a player that possibly has left. And in fact, you probably can tell that is going to be Iheanacho leaving on the free, which I was not happy about. I tried to get him to stay on, tried to offer him a contract. He wasn't having it. And unfortunately, no clubs were willing to offer any money for him. But we have invested quite well here. The first player is going to be from Nottingham Forest. Going to be Danilo, a player who I've got a lot of faith in, a player who I think can grow as well within this team. Absolute baller all over the field, can play pretty much every role in a deeper area of midfield. Only 23 years of age as well, and I really think this guy can be our holding midfield player for the entire save going forwards because he's an absolute baller. Going over to what is going to be the next sort of signing, it is going to be Badiashile from Chelsea for £36 million. It took me an absolute time, I don't know how long it took me to get this guy at the club, but finally we can agree on terms. I'm a really big fan of this guy inside the game. Potential is absolutely through the roof. Already quite a good player and should find himself in that team right from the get-go. 23 years of age, so again, we are really planning for the future here. Trying not to bring in too many players that are above that sort of age, especially in the midfield and the defensive line. It's going to contradict ourselves slightly with the next signing, but I have gone for a player that is proven in the Premier League because this is our first season back in the Premier League and we need a goal scorer. And it's a bit of a gamble, wink wink, But we have gone with Ivan Toney. Now, this guy can put the ball in the back of the net as well as place a little cheeky bet on roulette. He can do it all, this guy. And I do think he will do absolute bits in this Leicester team. 16 finishing, incredible penalties as well, if we are to get any. Great determination. Yeah, he's not the most rapid guy in the world, but he can put the ball in the back of the net. And that essentially is all what you want from your strikers. To fund this, obviously, we had a really big transfer budget. We also do, unfortunately, lose some players out on the free, being Lasabla, Iheanacho, Flynn, Popov, and obviously Joe as well. Really not happy with Iheanacho because I really wanted him to stay, even if it was a backup option. But unfortunately, you can't force players to stay. And this is going to be the new look team now. So it is going to be, obviously, the same goalkeeper in goal. Pereira, Badashil, Stroik, Justin, Danilo, Dewsbury Hall, Samer, Chiquinho, Barnes, and Ivan Toney. I'm looking at the bench right now, and realistically, there's still some players we want to get rid of. Like, if we look down here, we've got 1, 2, 3... We've got 4 players that are 34, so they're going to be retiring very, very soon. They're very hard to offload, those type of players, by the way. Obviously, Dennis Preye is another player I really want to try and get rid of. There's quite a few players that I want to try and replace with either, doesn't have to be young players, but someone of a better quality, which might even mean that we bring in a world-class midfielder and it drops someone like Samer to the bench or Dewsbury Hall. We just want to try and elevate this team to the next level. We've gone from the Championship to the Premier League. This season's all about survival. After this season, we build to then progress up the table into European football, into Champions League football, and then obviously one day, hopefully, into Premier League winners. But let's get into this second season with this new look side and see where we can finish. Well, do you know what, guys? I'm actually really impressed with how this season has gone. Yeah, it's not the most outrageous league placement in the world, but 7th is a lot better than what happened in real life. And to be honest, I was expecting to finish around sort of 10th to 11th place. But to make this season even sweeter, we won the Carabao Cup against Manchester City, which, by the way, is an absolute crazy final to win against a very strong Man City team. In terms of the league stats, it is a little bit of a drop-off. Obviously, we are now not the most dominant at scoring or definitely dominant at defending, but still a very, very good season. And we are going to go and treat ourselves and watch this game in a second. But more importantly, what is the squad saying? What are the goals? It is going to be, oh, wow. It is a team that is heavily carried by Ivan Toney. So that is a fantastic signing, if I don't say so myself. 42 league goals for this absolute unit up top. Currently got an injury, a hip injury, so probably not a nice one at all. Harvey Barnes with 13. Then after that, this is where the issue's going to start coming in, because we have essentially got 2 players that are quite comfortable in this league. The rest of them are really struggling. Now, it is their first season for a lot of them, so I am going to obviously, well, I say for a lot of them, for the new signings, obviously, the likes of Chiquinho in this team, specifically, obviously, last season was in the Championship. I know some of these players have played in the Prem before, but it is a big difference in, obviously, skill in who you're playing against. So I'm going to give them time to develop. We're not going to go crazy and start selling everyone, but I need to see more from this team. We cannot have one player carrying the bulk load of these goals this badly, because when he gets an injury, we can't turn to anybody else. And in terms of the assists, again, Harvey Barnes is going to carry a big load of that with 14. We've got Dennis with 9, Luke Thomas with 8. That's a little bit reasonable. We've got a few players assisting, but the goal scoring is quite annoying, to be honest, because that worries me massively for if Toney gets poached by another team, he gets injured, he gets suspended. There's so many things that can happen, and when we lose him as a striker, we are going to be in so much trouble. But going over to the actual finance section, we have got £58 million to spend. Now, it's not so much, it's not nowhere near to what we got before, but it is still quite a significant figure. In terms of the actual squad, though, I don't know what the contracts are looking like. Yeah, there's quite a lot we need to look at. So we can see here, we're going to have Ryan Bertrand retiring. We've got Mark Albrighton also going to be retiring as well. So that's 2 players down already, but we do need to replace someone to be a sort of rotation player. In terms of players that we might try and offer a new contract to, I'm not too sure on Josh here. I'm not too sure on Jacob as well, to be honest with you. George Hurst, again, he was okay in the Championship, but nothing too special at the moment. Obviously, the likes of James Justin, Samer, Pereira, we're going to try and sell. If not, I don't want him going on the free, so I will offer him definitely a new contract. And CCO, we want to keep him. Mendy, maybe one more contract in him as well. I usually like to do them sort of like a year in ahead. So these 2027s will leave for now, but the 2026s we obviously need to do because that is literally next season. So we're going to go and offer those contracts as well. But more importantly, let's watch this cup final. As we can see, a load of draws coming in. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 draws. Wow, a fair few draws coming in, but it is what it is. We didn't have a bad season, realistically. It's only going to be a 1-0, but let's go ahead and watch it anyway. Against a Man City team where I said they didn't play rotation. Ortega always plays in the cup. Kalou, Diaz, Laporte, Theo Hernandez, Rodri, Silva, De Bruyne, Alvarez, Foden, Haaland, and obviously there, Jack Grealish, Homan, Lima, Ake. Yeah, they had a very, very good team, and it was Ivan Toney that scored in the 50th minute. So let's just go and see that goal, because I just want to see what the goal was like. Was it any good? It's going to be a little bit of play here, as it is going to be them losing possession. A poor ball from De Bruyne into Drewsbury Hall, through to Harvey Barnes, a ball through into Toney, who smashes it past Ortega. It's quite an easy goal, to be honest. A good bit of pressing in the midfield, or just a bad ball from Kevin De Bruyne. But do you know what? That's actually quite a good season. It's not flawless by any means of the imagination. I know we finished 7th. But overall, it's a good stepping stone. It's a good place to build from. So let's go into that third transfer window and try and strengthen. Well, guys, the third transfer window has been done. And to be honest with you, we didn't have a ridiculous budget. So we have brought in players who I personally think are going to be somewhat decent. Not obviously the best of the best, but players that we could afford. And the first area which I'm going to talk about is obviously the players going out. Not too many players went out apart from the retiring players we discussed in the previous, obviously, clip of the video there. But Conor Gallagher was actually very close to being on the free. His contract literally had a couple of weeks left, but we paid 1.8 million to get him on the guarantee. And to be honest, Conor Gallagher, he's not a bad player. 3.5-star ability, got the 4-star potential as well. Quite a well-balanced player as well, with good stamina, good work rate, good determination. He can play great as a box-to-box. He can play a bit more attacking. He can even play deeper. He's not the most dominant, world-class midfield player there is, but for this Leicester team, he will definitely be a great addition. We then turn to a team which I've never turned to before, and we bring in Lucas for 5.5 million. And to be honest, this guy, again, is a player who can play on the wing, can obviously play left, right, but also in the centre of the park. Fairly basic at the moment, but again, a very reasonable price. He's got great potential, decent, I won't say great, decent attributes to start with. Obviously being his aggression, his agility, his balance, not bad passing either. Not also, in terms of the pace, he's not the quickest, but he makes up for it in different areas of the game. And this signing was more down to his flexibility, right? He can play on the wing, he can play centralised, he can even play deeper if needed. And I feel like losing the players that we did that were retiring, we needed someone that is a versatile player, and this guy sort of ticked all the boxes. And also, he's only 22 years of age. Now, going over to the last signing, this is going to be where we spent majority of the money, because I looked at the right back position and it wasn't great, to be honest with you. We've got James Justin, who's okay, but he can play left and right back. He's not really cemented in one position, and I wanted an all and out sort of right back. And we actually turned to Nathan Patterson, who definitely favours himself at the right back role. He can play full back, he can play as a wing back, and I really am a big fan of this guy. I had a very brief stint as an Everton manager in this game, and he was absolutely incredible. He offers a lot going forward, obviously some good acceleration, some good pace, great stamina, good concentration, and he's just a really good fullback in my opinion. Again, quite young, 23 years of age, so we're going to have absolutely years to get from this guy and hopefully develop him into hopefully a sort of Robertson type figure in this team. And going over to this new look side, we're going to have obviously the same keeper. I'm not even going to mention that because he's going to stick this position probably all the way to the end because he's an absolute machine in goal. We've got Patterson, Stroik, Badashil, Justin now goes at left back. Danilo, Drewsbury Hall, Conor Gallagher steps in right away. The new man steps in on the right-hand side. Barnes and Ivan Toney up top to finish it off. Now, the bench is now looking slightly better. Obviously, we've got some good players that are quite young as well. Obviously, still some players that we do want to try and offload. Obviously, like Pratt or Prey, don't know how you really say that. Definitely want to try and get rid of him. Ricardo Pereira, we couldn't offload, so we did have to offer him a new contract. And this guy still is in the team, but he is going to be retiring. Obviously, Ryan Bertrand, a great career for him. But I'm really confident with this team now, and I'm not sure yet if this is sort of suitable to get Champions League football, but I can't see why we shouldn't be in the shout for getting at least European football in terms of the Europa League. I know we got the conference, but Europa League, I think we can do it with this team. So let's get into this third season and see if these new signings have made that difference. Well, the season is completed, and I just realised I completely messed up that last clip because we actually obviously were in the Europa League, so I don't know what I was saying. And we have won it, by the way. We have won the Europa League against Frankfurt, which is absolutely incredible. Obviously meaning we get Champions League football. So despite quite a good placement in the Premier League, we didn't get into the top 4. We would have got Europa League, but obviously we've won the Europa League. There's a lot of Europa Leagues going about. So we are now obviously in the Champions League in the third season. That deserves a little like, and definitely hit the sub button as well, guys. But that is absolutely incredible. In terms of the English trophies, not a great display, but do I care? Absolutely not. We had a good league placement. We won the Europa League, and we are now a Champions League side, and that is honestly mind-blowing. 70 league goals coming in, 37 conceded, telling me that both areas could do with a little bit of improvement, if we are being honest, but overall, a ridiculous season, and I'm very excited to see what the squad is looking like. It is going to be a little bit better now. Ivan Toney still carrying the absolute bulk of the load with 54 goals. Harvey Barnes with 17, Chiquinho with 16, Conor Gallagher with 11. So now we've got 3 players scoring 10 plus, which is a lot better than what we did have. We then got 7 and 7 coming in from Encicio and Dennis. Then there is a little bit of a drop-off, but it's a lot more attractive at the top. Obviously, Ivan Toney still really carrying this team heavily, and hopefully he can carry on doing that, especially in the Champions League, as we're going to need his goals. But in terms of the assists, we're going to have Harvey Barnes with 17, Conor Gallagher having one hell of a season, by the way, 11 goals and 15 assists, 9 from Chiquinho, Patterson with 8 as well, having quite a good season, 8 for Drewsbury Hall, James Justin with 7, 6 obviously coming in from Lucas, Ivan Toney even contributing with 6 as well. Now this is honestly a lot better. I'm happy with this. This is why I love doing rebuilds, because new players you bring in, when they start doing well, the likes of Conor Gallagher has clearly transformed this attacking team. I am very happy with how this has paid off. And in fact, we are going to go ahead and have a little look at some of the data hub. What is that looking like in the third season? A little bit less scored and a little bit more conceded, but I guess we looked at the championship stats, so we can't be too judgmental with that. Obviously, still some decent stats with this Leicester side, obviously in the third season. And the finances are going to look at 67 mil. Now, I thought there might have been a little bit more because we got Champions League. Obviously, we won the Europa League. I thought maybe a little bit more. Now, it could end up being that we get more added in. Maybe I'll save this before the actual initial sort of budget gets set out, the finalised figure. But we can work something with that sort of money. We can definitely bring in a couple of players. But I guess what we need to do now is look at the schedule, because let's break this down overall. 11-0. Oh, it's okay. It's against Dynamo. Okay, that's fair enough. It's not too bad. There's a lot of green in here, really. Obviously, we do lose the odd game here and there, but there is a lot of green, still some draws that possibly need ironing out, possibly against Leeds. Chelsea and Arsenal I don't mind drawing against, for now anyway. It's not too bad. There's no real shock results here. I mean, even Aston Villa, you could argue either team can win. There's no real shock results. Nothing too bad, really. This is a comeback and a half. This game here, we lost 3-1 in the first leg and brought it back 4-0, obviously at home in the second leg. That is an incredible game, by the way. But we are going to go ahead and watch. Oh, this is a loss we do need to sort out. A 2-0 loss away. Obviously, it's against Norwich, though. Against bloody Adam. Come on. We need to sort that out, Leicester. But you know what? We are going to go ahead and watch this Europa League final against a full-strength Frankfurt side. And I just want to see how these goals went in, because Frankfurt obviously are a very good team, obviously over in Germany. And I'm surprised we've actually managed to win this. But obviously we did, and that's all that matters, as the first goal comes through a little bit of scrappy play down the right. Conor Gallagher puts a great ball into Harvey Barnes in the 66th minute. So, I mean, overall, this game was quite quiet early on, and it's going to be a set piece in the 90th minute to iron it out and completely finish off the game in what was actually, I mean, the game was quite close. They had more possession. We had more XG, so I guess we did deserve to win it, to be fair. But overall, a great final, and what a way to actually finish the third season. Absolutely mind-blown. So I think going into this fourth window, it's really going to be looking to try and strengthen out pretty much, to be honest, pretty much everywhere. I must say, because it wasn't actually on, I just realised this, it wasn't even on the transfers of the last one. We did also bring in Artur on the free, so he's a player that did play last season. Don't know how well he done. Not the best. Not the best. He done okay. He's a good little substitute player. Bit of experience in that team. Let's just be real. But definitely going to look to possibly try and bring in another midfield player, possibly in this box-to-box role. Maybe even try and strengthen one of the wingers. I'm not sure, really, because I feel like with 67 million, you can bring in some players, but you can't bring in world class. So let's go over to that fourth transfer window and see exactly who is available. So the fourth transfer window was a little bit more of a quieter one. Only 2 players coming in, a few players going out on the free, which weren't really game changers anyway. You can see the confirmation of Artur here from Juventus coming in on the free. And I really wanted to bolster that midfield a little bit more, have Conor Gallagher possibly in the box-to-box role, and bring in a really attacking young midfielder. And we've gone with the most signed player on FM23, one that I have never signed myself though. That is going to be Alex Scott from Sheffield for £27.5 million. And this guy really is just the generic sort of a go-to player. He is very much, you know, you want a young attacker midfield player. Obviously, it helps that he's English as well, with the registration and things like that. This guy is really the complete package. 22 years of age. Not got off to the hottest start in this save, but still got tons of potential. Already offers quite a lot as he is as a package. And I really think he is the best option going forward. And with a price tag like that, it's not too bad either at £27.5 million. We then go over to Bournemouth, and a lot of this is done in instalments. And I wanted another centre-back, slightly younger one, possibly to compete for first team or to sort of work his way into it eventually. And that is going to be Zabrani. And this guy is a personal favourite of mine. I sign him whenever I can. I try to sign different players here and there, but this guy I am such a fan of. Obviously, 23 years of age. And again, just very similar to Alex Scott, a lot of players pick this guy up because he is a really good option for that back line. Already has 15 tackling, great teamwork, quite quick as well. Good balance, good jumping, good stamina as well. Got the ability to grow into a 4-star possibly. And his age at 23, you've got a centre-back here for like 7 to 8 years. So you are really signing for the future here. And it's just really good getting rid of some of the older players and bringing in youth, because you're essentially setting this Leicester team up for a future. And that's exactly what obviously we're trying to do in the sole point of rebuilding a side. And this is going to be the new look team. So it is going to be the same goalkeeper. Is obviously going to be Moulier. That is going to be Patterson, Zabrani, Badashil, Thomas, Danilo, Gallagher, Scott. We've got Casavenda, Barnes, and Ivan Toney to finish off that front three. And this team now is looking really, really impressive. This is filtered by the best 11, and I'm really impressed at how I thought is how I actually executed. So Conor Gallagher, can play this box-to-box really, really well, to be honest, as a 4-star. Scott can come in and sort of grow in that Metzala role. Danilo obviously putting in a great job as well in the midfield. The front three is absolutely electric. Again, Ivan Toney is 30, so possibly next season we might bring in a sort of younger striker just to sort of take some of the pressure off him. The back line's looking really, really strong. We've got a great goalkeeper, decent wingers, and I really think we can put up a fight now. When it comes to Champions League, I don't think we're going to get ridiculously far. I'm going to be really happy anything past the quarterfinal, to be honest with you, because I do actually think this team isn't quite there yet. You're talking Champions League, you're talking Real Madrid, Man City, big teams, Bayern Munich, PSGs. We're not sure if we're at that level just yet, but in terms of the actual Premier League, I think there is no reason why we can't maintain and getting inside of that top 6. So let's go into this 4th season and see what we can do. So, the 4th season has been simulated, and I'm going to be honest, there is quite a bit of red down here. Quite a bit of red, as you can see. The round of 16 against... I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad in the Champions League. Obviously, getting through the phase, Bayern are never really going to be a realistic team to beat. We also lost the Super Cup against Manchester United, which could have been quite a good trophy to win, something which we probably wouldn't have expected Leicester to even have a chance at. In terms of the Premier League, at least we maintained the top 6, obviously finishing in 5th place, meaning we are going to be in the Europa League next season, which I'm pretty confident we should be able to at least try and win again. In terms of the FA Cup, the quarterfinals against United, that's two competitions United are bottled us out in right now. Carabao Cup semi-finalists, again, unfortunately, Arsenal, too much for us to deal with on this occasion. And when I say we got into, I mean, we literally were very close to getting Champions League football. in terms of the points here. You can see 72, 72, Man City obviously having a better goal difference. And in terms of the actual stats, it's telling me one thing right now, guys. We are the 8th best at scoring goals, but actually the best at conceding the fewest amount of goals and finishing 5th place. So this tells me our defence is actually perfect. It's completely fine. The issue now is the goal scoring side. So next season, we are going to definitely go ahead and use our budget of £71 million to try and strengthen that attack, because clearly that is where we need to improve. And we are going to see that backed up by these stats. As we can see, it's happening again. Ivan Toney has been absolutely incredible every season, by the way. 43 goals is absolutely nuts, so hats off to him. But then we're seeing 2 players this time instead of the 3 or 4. We've got 16 here coming in from Lucas. We've got Barnes with 14. Then it drops off massively, obviously down to 8, which is not really good enough. I want to have at least sort of 5 players trying to score at least 10 plus goals. Then I don't mind having one standout player, but we need more than this. This is not good enough to even try and win the Premier League title. In terms of the assists, we've got 12 coming in for Barnes, Patterson with 11, 10 obviously coming in for Lucas, Scott coming in with 10, having a decent or kind of average first season to be expected. Conor Gallagher with 9, 6 for Ivan Toney, Drewsbury Hall with 5, and Struijk coming in with 4. Now, I will say, I don't know how many seasons this is going to take for me to obviously try and win the Premier League title. I do want to try and do it, though, because obviously that is one of the most memorable things in the Premier League, is Leicester winning the title. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. And it's always interesting to see where these players have gone after that Leicester team sort of, you know, won the title. Obviously, Mahrez goes to obviously Manchester City. Kante goes to Chelsea. And it's just, I always find it interesting with Jamie Vardy, which, by the way, I do apologise because we did not see him obviously go. We did not see him retire. What is Mr. Jamie Vardy doing right now? He is a manager at Fleetwood. Now, that is beautiful to see. That is beautiful to see. Mr. Jamie Vardy. Absolutely incredible. But you know what? It's not a perfect season. It's really not. I'm sure if we go over the schedule, we can see here there's quite a few losses coming in. I mean, this is quite a bad spell. 1-0 loss, 3-0, 0-0. There's too many losses. Sorry, there's too many draws. 23 now to friendly. There's too many draws coming in. I think this is honestly, how many draws did we pick up in the season? How many draws did we pick up? Oh, wow. 19 wins, 15 draws. 15! That has got to be the most by some distance, right? Man City picking up quite a few as well. What is their team looking like, Man City? I always like to see Steve Holland in charge. And we're going to have, as the senior squad, we're going to go in, and that is going to be Trafford, Koundé, Diaz, Laporte, Kalou, Coman, Lima, Grealish, a regen, João Pedro, Alvarez, a 4-4-2 lineup. A fantastic bench as well, though, to be fair to him. And we are also going to look at my team I support in real life. Still going to be Ten Hag in charge. In terms of the tactics, we're going to have Costa, Tomiyasu, Mendes, Martinez, Hernandez, Casemiro, Gravenberch, Fernandez, Sancho, Rashford, Sotrano up top, and a really interesting bench as well. As we've got Morata on the bench, Anthony's still there, Jarrod Bowen, Garnacho. How's he developed? Quite well, to be fair to him. Quite well. But that's enough sort of stalking of the other teams. We are going to go ahead and actually view this next transfer window. Try and spend the money we've got, £71 million, and try and bring in some attacking talent. Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys, there's quite a bit of drama in this last transfer window, and we actually got a lot more money than expected because as good as he has been, Conor Gallagher, you cannot turn down 62 million pounds from Manchester City. We brought him for 1.6, I believe. That is an incredible 60+ million pounds profit on a player. Now that is the Leicester way, and we've actually funded some really good transfers. The first one is going to be Moukoko from Borussia Dortmund, my go-to, for £29 million, and also it's going to be Gabriel, I'm going to butcher it, Rakanvia from Dynamo for 16.7 million. We are going to look at him more in depth in a second. Hurst gets his move because we couldn't convince him to stay, and he really wasn't developing that well. He goes to Antwerp for £250,000. And the next page, we don't stop with the signings there, as actually it's going to be Fayez goes to Rennes on the free, and we do a lot of installments, and we went big for this last season, because I'm really trying to transform this team from being your team that finishes in the top sort of 6 to now being that team that cements itself in the top 4 and starts to compete for that Premier League title. So we bring in the likes of Zakarian from Real Sociedad, absolutely phenomenal player at the age of 24. And we also bring in Angucia from Napoli on the free, which, to be honest, is all about getting an experienced signing. His attributes are absolutely incredible. Is he one for the future? No. Has he got 3 years in him? Yes. So he'll do okay in this team. Absolutely incredible attributes, good dribbling, good first touch, good passing. There's a lot of green on here is all I'm going to say. And again, very similar to a lot of the players I like to go out for. He can cover pretty much every role in that midfield part. And going over to what is going to be sort of the previous page, that is going to be obviously Moukoko. We know what this guy can offer. A rapid, great finishing, only 22 years of age. So again, we've got a striker here for 10 plus years. And I really think he could help. I nearly said Koundé then for some reason. I really think he can really help Ivan Toney with those goals up top and hopefully relieve a little bit of stress from him. And the last player we're going to look into is going to be this lad here. And this is a player which I've pretty much brought in for depth. A player which I've never actually signed. I like what he's got about him. Mainly it is coming from his acceleration, his pace, his agility. He's still very young, 23 years of age. He's got a little bit of potential in him. But to be honest with you, he's mainly brought in for the depth reason. And I think that is more than a logical reason to do so. So this is going to be the final team going into the last season. As we can see, we're going to have, obviously, the star man in goal. We're going to have Patterson, Zabrani, Badashil. We're also going to have Thomas, Danilo, Angucia, Scott, Zakarian, Barnes, and Moukoko. Meaning we have left them of a bench of Everson, Struck, obviously Lucas, Tony, Justin, Drewsbury Hall, Rakanvia, Sotar, Arta, Chiquinho, Chowdhury, Samer, Josh Epar, Brunt, and Ciccio, Prayat, Mendy. Now that is an absolute incredible bench / reserves. I think we have completely give this team a whole new life. I mean, we literally got the life sucked out of us in that first season. We sold everyone possible. We sold Madison. We sold, Ndidi. We sold absolutely all of the key players in the team, apart from a very select bunch that we couldn't actually load. Obviously, one of them being Barnes, who I do think might be moved in real life. This team looks absolutely incredible, and I'm looking forward to going into this, well, hopefully, I'm predicting 7 seasons that we're going to try and win the title in. But this next season, I'm hoping we can at least try and make a name for ourselves in this Premier League and finish in 2nd place. So this is actually going to be the last season, guys, because we have won the treble. That is right. We have won the treble. We've won the Champions League against Arsenal, which I would need to look at that game. We've won the Premier League and the Carabao Cup, making it a treble winning season. We scored 82 league goals, instantly improving on our last result. So clearly then new signings worked massively. Goals conceded, we're still the 2nd best. Obviously a little bit of a downgrade, but I'm not really going to care too much when we've literally won a treble. In terms of the league table, wow, that is close for the top 4. There is literally, obviously, same points there, 7 goal difference separates them. Liverpool missing out on the top 4. Obviously, they're going to be playing in the Europa League in real life as well. So that's always quite interesting. But do you know what? I knew this team was very close to achieving, I didn't think the Premier League. I didn't even think the Champions League. I knew we were definitely growing. But the fact we got this all done in the same season, I want to have a little dig into this and see what's happened. So the first thing we're going to do right off the bat is look at the squad. So the goals are going to be 47 from Moukoko, which he has just completely taken over Tony. 15 from Barnes, Tony with 13, 10 for Zakarian, Scott with 9, and Angucia with 9, 7 for Badashil. Still not getting really what I was after, but we've somehow managed to win games, probably because we were quite good defensively, and I guess it is technically 1 goal off, but 1, 2, 3, 4, nearly 5 players with 10 or more goals. And the assists, we've got 14 for Barnes, Angucia with 13, Lucas with 12, 11 for Zakarian, Scott with 10, 10 for Arthur, Patterson with 8, 7 coming in for Rakanvia, and 6 coming in for Enciso as well. A really, really good season. We've got to look at some of these results, guys, because I'm absolutely baffled to how this Champions League went. So we are going to break it down. So we lost the first game in the Champions League phase against Dortmund. We then bounced back, obviously, against Blazav. I believe is how you say that. A 4-0 win there. We drew against Leverkusen. We lost against Inter. We drew against Ajax. It wasn't a pretty start. We then obviously won this game here, which did get us through, I imagine. No, another game here, which we lost against Leipzig. We beat PSG, though, which is a massive result there. We then obviously, beat Leipzig again in a 5-1 win. We then drew to Leipzig, obviously, in the knockouts. Obviously, we would have went through to that. We would have won that. We then drew to Real Madrid and then won 3-0 in, obviously, the round of 16 second leg. We then have PSG, which we win the first leg and drew the second leg. Monaco in the semis. What is their team looking like? What is their team looking like? Tactics, they're going to have Huracan, Singo, Lacroix, Ito, Enrique, and Didi, Sands, and Bolo, Lookman. That is quite a good team. Wan-Bissaka and Edouard, Twanzebo. They've got some really good players on their team, to be fair to them. Hats off where it is due. So we beat them in the semi-finals, and there was actually Arsenal who we beat in a 3-1 win, which we are going to go ahead and have a look at. Their team consists of Ramsdale, Salabia, Gabriel, Tierney, White, Declan Rice, funny enough, Saka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Jesus, Martinelli. They've got Arda Güler as well, Scalvini, Thuram. They've got a very good team, and it was quite a lively final as well. Obviously, a 3-1 win. And I did just see there, very briefly, we did actually take the lead, which is going to be, is this from a set piece? Danilo, what a absolute rocket inside of 8 minutes as well. What a way to start a Champions League final. As we go again here down the left-hand side with Harvey Barnes, who burst past everyone, cuts it back into Patterson. Shocking from Ramsdale, but Patterson, I absolutely... very impressed with how you got into the box there, but that is a gift from Patterson. Are we going to go 3-0 up? I believe we do. Luke Thomas with a good bit of pressure into Makoko, into Salabia, who fails to clear it. Barnes absolutely lumps it into the top right corner. Obviously, we're going to watch their goal. It's going to be in the 80th minute, and I think at this point, it's just a little too late, you know? I mean, it is the 80th minute. We could easily defend this as Jesus just sort of makes Moody look like an absolute statue, goes past him and tucks it in. But do you know what? We're not going to complain at all. A 3-1 win. We've literally got hardly any room to complain at this season. Obviously, this game here, also against Arsenal, we are going to watch the goal quickly. It's going to be Badiashile coming in the 95th minute. Arsenal just didn't have a season for finals, clearly. Obviously, losing 2 against us as well. They've got to feel hard done by. As it is going to be the 95th minute, Arthur with a great ball in and a great header, to be fair, from Badiashile. Arthur showing his worth there in a final which... to be honest, they did have the upper hand in, but we're not going to complain at all. And that is going to wrap off a fantastic last season. Not much more to say, really. If we were going to carry on in the season, we would actually have a total of £103 million to spend. We've left them with an absolutely incredible team, left them with more trophies than what they had as well, and successfully rebuilt Leicester City. I do want to quickly say, if you do enjoy the rebuilds on this channel and you've enjoyed this video, please do smash the like button below. I really am trying to give you guys a little bit of variety on this channel now. And also, if you do like racing videos, you like your F1, check out the link in the description. It can also be seen at the end of this video as well. I've now officially opened up my F1 sort of channel, race simulating, got the rig, got everything on the go. It's a lot of entertainment, so please do come over, show some love on that as well. And I'm going to catch you over the weekend on both Saturday and Sunday for not 1, but 2 tactic videos.